Welcome, welcome. This is the official start of the class. Before we begin, I just want to let you know what we'll be needing. This is restorative yoga. This isn't our sort of flowy type yoga where we do vinyasa. You notice I'm on a bed. So wherever you are, if you can please have handy at least a couple of blankets. I've got a thick blanket here and one rolled up as a sausage. And then I've raided my couch. We've got this sort of thin and more of the back of the couch cushion there. So they're the kind of things we're going to need, and maybe an eye pillow. So I'm going to give you time if you haven't got that already. No stress, because part of this class is about just learning these techniques, and you don't need to have everything ready all at once. So taking your time to find those if you haven't already, and finding a quiet spot in the house. I've tucked myself away in the bedroom to sort of be away from any interruptions. And just a reminder about, if you're not familiar with restorative yoga, which, maybe some of you are, restorative yoga is different from the other types of yoga, even yin, which you may be familiar with, where yin is something where you're stretching, you're coming to the edge of your stretchiness and sort of getting blood into the fascia. The idea of restorative yoga, which is what we'll be doing tonight, is to really rest your nervous system. It's more about opening and using props. And when I say props, I'm talking about things like these pillows and couch cushions to really support you so that your body can open up. So it's all about letting your body know it's safe and giving it time to restore in these poses. Hopefully you've got time to get yourself all sorted in your comfy little nests, and we can begin. The theme that I'd like to chat about tonight is about give yourself a pause. We all know there's a pause in menopause. There is a time where we can actually sit back and reflect and look on to this next stage of our lives that we'll be having. And I was interested in an article or the studies done by Lisa Mosconi, which you may have come across. She's a neurological professor, and she calls menopause a renovation of the brain. And I just found that so interesting. Her research found that there are different times when we are shedding our neurological pathways. There's 4 different times when we're doing that throughout our female lives. And one of them is during the perimenopause, menopause stage. And the pathways that were once used for the ovaries giving messages to the body, they're no longer necessary. So we now find that we have more space in the brain, more mental capacity, mental bandwidth. And I love that idea of space, moving away from this crowded, overwhelmed brain into more of a spacious mind. So that's what we'll be playing around with tonight, this idea of creating a pause and giving ourselves permission to pause is so important, especially in perimenopause and menopause, because the pressures that are on our life, the pressures with kids, with career, with all the different responsibilities that we take on that are kind of crowding into our schedule and taking away time for ourselves. You know all about how our hormones are also sending our nervous system into flight or fight. So this time to pause tonight and over the next 5 weeks is something that is so beneficial for our time in perimenopause and menopause, post-menopause. So get comfortable with the idea of not doing much. In fact, we're sort of giving away the doing and we're just being. It's space for being and taking a pause. So those doers that we have out there, you might find that quite hard, or you might be saying to yourself, oh, I can't wait. Just whichever way it is, just being comfortable with that and just noticing. So let's begin with the first technique. We're going to practice oceanic breath, which if you've done yoga before, you might be familiar with the Ujjayi breath. The reason I am introducing this with our first lesson is because this breath causes, or you create, a constriction in the back of your throat. So it's almost like you're fogging your mirror. You can try that now. And when you do that, you can sort of feel that something is constricting at the back of your throat. And this stimulates our vagus nerve, which is one of the main ways to send our body the message to rest, to go into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is what we want here for these moments of rest and recharge. You can start to get yourself into a comfy position. Maybe you'll want to have a bit of a lay down, and maybe one hand on your chest and one hand on your heart. Once you're in a comfortable position, you can start to just acknowledge and be aware of your natural breath. Maybe you're closing down your eyes, or maybe you're starting to have a bit of a fuzzy gaze in front. And then just as you're starting to breathe in through both nostrils, filling up your lungs, just a slow, long ah. I'm doing it quite loudly so you can hear me over the speaker, but you can do it as gently and as softly as you like. We'll do a few breaths through the nostrils, in, and then out the mouth, that long, long exhale, as long as you can do. So just practicing a breath in, a long, long, long inhale, and then a long, long exhale. When you're ready, you might like to close your lips, and that starts to sound even more like the oceanic breath. Imagine that you're going but with your mouth closed, and just start to bring yourself right into the middle of your brain. See if you can relax any tension, not worrying about what you're doing, if you're doing it right, just taking the breath, slow exhale with a ha sound. Maybe your ha is getting even softer and softer. It's just a wonderful practice that I take on when I'm trying to get to sleep. You can gradually give yourself a count of 7 on the way in. And as long as you can on the way out, perhaps that's 11, but that might be quite difficult. Just relaxing into this breath for a few more rounds. Maybe softening. It's a simple breath mantra that you can say to yourself. As I breathe in, I know that I am breathing in. And as I breathe out, I know that I am breathing out. So you can pair that with this breath if you like, just to focus the mind even more. Do 3 more rounds of the breath just like this. And you can keep breathing with this technique if you like. I'm just going to introduce just a little bit of self-massage where we can bring, you might need to open your eyes, or maybe not, just bring your thumbs on the insides of your eyebrows here and just press in, and then maybe you can come back to your oceanic breath, pressing in with your thumb, and then start your oceanic breath. Watch the jaw. Is that tensing up? Can you loosen the jaw and loosen the shoulders? Maybe now your hands automatically want to come around your eyebrows and start to massage your temples. And then maybe they want to come to the sides of your ears and just massage down. we'll let go of that technique now, and you might like to flutter open your eyes, perhaps just letting a little creak of sunlight or your lighting of the room in, and then just open your eyes and just see how you feel. It's my number one technique. If I'm find myself feeling a little bit stressed, I just bring that breath into the body and it works. But during the next 5 weeks, we'll be able to see what works for you. Not all techniques will work for everyone. So that's just one to remember and see how that goes. Excellent. Okay, so let's get on to the next part of the class, which is taking a restorative pose. The first one I'm going to show you is called Mountain Brook. So what you'll need, and this is a little bit of faff, I do apologize, but I promise it's worth it. We'll stay in this position for a little while of relaxing. So we'll need a couple of things. You can gather your blanket, and I've got my blanket. It's folded like this, about that kind of width. Mine's probably a bit thick than yours might be. And typically we need 2 blankets, but mine's a pretty thick one, so I'm going with this. So this is where your shoulder blades are going to lie. And generally about the center of the blanket there is where the bottom of my shoulder blades are going to be here. And then the top of my shoulder blades will cascade over. This rolled up little sausage, you might roll yours up a little bit better than mine because this is a bit of a floppy blanket. This is going to be the part that is supported by the curve of my neck. About a hand's width distance we'll have, I might just move these back so you can see a little bit better between them. So hopefully you're setting these up as you go. And then in a moment, we'll bring something that comes underneath the knees. But just first to test, I'm just going to come over and see if this is a comfortable position for me. What the bit to get right here is to see. So I'm going to have to lift mine down because I want my shoulder blades, the tops of my shoulders, I want to be just reaching the floor. And my shoulders are in between this gap here. And when you get it right, hopefully you'll get an automatic feeling. I feel as though I need to prop my sausage blanket underneath my neck a little bit more because we want a real opening of the neck here and the chin to be to the sky. And this is a feeling that can be really quite invigorating and recharging and relaxing at the same time. So just get yourself in a position. You might need to adjust here the height of your blankets. The next step, when you're ready, I'm using these. And if you have a bolster at home, you can also use a bolster underneath your knees. So just bring yourself down again. Start to arrange yourself so the props are coming up to you and they're supporting you. If you have discomfort in your lower back, you could either give more height underneath here or take another layer off these blankets that are underneath your shoulders. So this is Mountain Brook. Hopefully, after all this faff, you are now finding yourself in a comfortable position and you're just starting to settle in here. Please take your time to remove any wrinkles that you feel, playing around with the height, because this is all about experimenting here, and just make sure that you're getting comfortable in this pose. And you can imagine that this is really beneficial if we've been at our desk all day, because we're opening in 3 areas. We're opening around the throat, as we're opening around the heart, and we're easing the lower back. So just start to allow yourself, maybe putting an eye pillow on, maybe putting a blanket near you, and imagine yourself being like a mountain brook. Your body's like the cascading water floating over the cushions. Of course, if this position is not for you, you could just roll onto your side and take a nice sort of side bend, but hopefully you're finding comfort here. Feel yourself start to zone in to bring yourself into your inner landscape. Imagine spaciousness across your eyebrows, across your forehead. And can you imagine as though the flesh on your cheeks is just floating off and easing off the bones, just effortlessly, with all of the tension dissolving from your face. Perhaps the roof of your mouth is starting to rise towards your crown now, and you can swallow gently just to feel a release and a spaciousness around your throat. Just allowing yourself to be here, just giving this time to yourself, this space, this pause, drawing your attention down to your heart space. Your heart is open and elevated in this position. And just tapping into whichever emotion is appearing there. Whatever is coming up, just acknowledging. Now beginning to think of your body as a container. Starting to feel the breath. Feel every nook and cranny of your body. As you inhale, the breath fills all the way down to your fingertips and toes. And notice as you exhale, you're creating more space in the body. Acknowledging to the body that it's okay to just rest and recharge here. I'm going to read you a poem, and then after this poem, I'm going to leave you in silence and stillness. If you find that your mind starts to wander when you're in just a few moments of stillness and silence, you can come back to the Ujjayi oceanic breath. You can also tell yourself in your mind the mantra. I'll read this poem now, which is by David White. It's called The Journey. Above the mountains, the geese turn into the light again, painting their black silhouettes on an open sky. Sometimes everything has to be inscribed across the heavens, so you can find the one line already written inside you. Sometimes it takes a great sky to find that first bright and indescribable wedge of freedom in your own heart. Sometimes, with the bones of the black sticks left when the fire has gone out, someone has written something new in the ashes of your life. You are not leaving. Even as the light fades quickly now, you are arriving. Gently now, you can start to move yourself off the blankets. You might just slightly use your hands to lift yourself off the blankets from underneath your head and underneath your back, and they can come to the side. Just move them over to the side, and you can keep your legs just on the bolster just for a little while, just to re-establish a neutral spine once more. Just staying here for just a few breaths. Hopefully enjoying the stillness. When you're ready, you can turn over to one side and find your way up to a seated position. The next pose we will begin will be the legs up the cushions. It's usually legs up the bolster and legs up the wall. So this is a pose that you can do. It's kind of like one of those poses for the times you've got no time, because really all you need is a wall or a bed head, and you can just lay down and flip your legs up the wall. So I could go and sit here up against the bed head and just put my feet up the wall. It's a technique that is fantastic for your lymphatic system and your circulation. It's particularly good if you've been traveling or you haven't slept well. But let's look at a version that is a little bit more comforting because you've got extra props. So just simply, I've got two of these pillows again, and I'm building a wrap. If at home you have a yoga bolster, you could be bringing one block underneath it and another smaller block, which will help you build that wrap. All we do is we just start to bring our bottom to the edge of it, facing the bolster, and come all the way down. And then start to settle in. But do understand that it's sometimes hard to get into these relaxing moments. We have busy minds, but hopefully you're starting to feel more relaxed. And just let's commit to 5 more minutes just to be able to give yourself this time. This pose in particular, 20 minutes with your legs up is just so beneficial. So just bringing yourself into the pose, making any adjustments you might need to, starting to find stillness, giving yourself space. Perhaps you're starting to feel a heaviness around the back of your body, starting to melt into the floor or your bed, and a lightness in your legs. Imagine there's a waterfall that's coming down from the tips of your toes all the way down your legs. Comes into your pelvic basin, just into a pool of water. Little ripples are created. Water coming down your legs, just effortlessly gliding and then collecting in a ripple around your pelvic basin. And perhaps now you can bring your attention to your hands. Draw your mind's eye up to your fingers and imagine waterfalls coming down each finger and creating a little pool of water in your hands. Scan through the body and notice where you might be holding any tension. Enjoying these moments of stillness. Noticing that each breath is met with the next breath. Your mind is starting to wander, as all of our minds do, very human of us. To repeat that mantra, concentrate on the oceanic breath. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, no one to become. No doing, just being here. Create space between the action here and just rest into the moment. So good for our nervous systems just to have this time in the parasympathetic system. Soon come out of this pose. I do welcome you to stay just where you are. I just thought I'd read you a poem for the last moments of this pose. If you'd like, sometimes your legs can feel agitated at different times of the month being up on the bolsters. You could just remove the bolsters and just have your legs flat, or maybe just the bolster underneath your backs of your knees. Just checking with the body and what it wants. This poem is by Donna Ashworth. If you woke up today with a mountain in your way and your energy has all got up and gone, if your heart is set to break and the stress you just can't take, let the world around you march and carry on. Don't be scared to take a seat and admit a short defeat. It's not wrong to lose the will in once a while. Let your body shed its weight. Give your mind a tiny break. Let your thoughts flow free, breathe deeply, and find your smile. You only get one time alive, and it's vital that you thrive. You're a living, breathing human full of wonder. You need water, you need sun, you need food, and you need fun. You need to take time out to charge, or you'll go under. Take a moment, close your eyes, stop before your spirit dies. Look for solitude or grace, seek what feeds your lonely soul. Find the thread that makes you whole. So if you woke up today with a mountain in your way, stop trying to move that mountain on your own. Take time out, my friend. This feeling is not the end. You will recharge. You will carry on. So slowly now you can start to bring yourself out of the pose. If you still have your legs up, you might like to bring one foot down with your knees bent and then the next. And then roll yourself to one side for a little moment. Wherever you are, just starting to come out of the pose and find a seat. I know I'm trying to keep these classes short so that we can find them doable in our schedules. So without rushing too much, we'll come to a seat. Maybe give yourself a hug. Notice how you feel. We'll bring our hands to heart center. Bring your thumbs in towards your chest and feel your beating heart. And from my beating heart to your beating heart, namaste. And thank you so much for joining.